Hello YouTube, this is Mr. Programming Penguin. The goal of this tutorial is to produce a simplistic yet functional batch file obfuscator. This tutorial will not cover advanced features like drag and drop functionality and customization of the obfuscation schemes, but if you would like me to cover that in a later video, please comment down below. Alright, so this is the obfuscator that I will be showing you how to make in a tutorial. So how you use this is you type in your source code in this text box right here. I'm gonna do that right now. Oh, sorry, not pause. Alright. So what this will do is this will say test and then wait for me to press a key and then exit. Alright, so let's choose the first obfuscation method, which replaces lowercase alpha characters with variables. So I'll save the obfuscated file to the desktop and then I'll show you and explain to you what it does. Alright, here it is. If we run it, we see it runs like normal. Echo off, echo test, and pause. So as soon as I press the key, exits. Alright, now let's edit the source code. You can see that we declare a bunch of variables, one for each letter of the alphabet. So for example, this is set to A. Now what happens down here is you can see this is what happened to our source code. So for example, let's look at A. There's an A down here in pause. So if we look for the second character in the third line, let's see, this thing right here, the CZKHUQJ, you can see that's the same variable as what's set up here. So what happens is when you run the file, this gets replaced with the letter A, and that happens for the whole line, and then the command prompt interprets that as pause, and then your application runs as normal. Alright, so let's go into the second obfuscation method, and this one inserts junk variables between characters in the source code. So basically what happens is we can insert a bunch of variables in our source code, but the variables weren't initialized to anything, so what happens is when you run it, like, the variables don't do anything, like they get replaced with nothing. I'll show you. Alright, let's see. Let's run this. We see it runs like normal. Test, press any key to continue. Alright, that's great. Alright, now let's edit this. And we can see that there's a bunch of variables here, like this one right here. But the thing with this is, like, we didn't have, let me show you, like, we didn't say set YHLJOPG equals to A. Like, we don't need that. It's not supposed to do anything, right? So what happens at runtime is this thing gets replaced with nothing. It's as if it wasn't there. Alright, and that happens with the rest of them, and then your file executes as normally. It just makes it really hard to read. So the last one's my favorite one. It was suggested to me by a comment down in my batch file obfuscator 2.0 video that I posted about 2 years ago. And yeah, this one's really cool. Let me show it to you. So basically, like, it makes it unreadable in text editors. Let me show you. Okay, so we run test.bat, and we see it does the exact same thing as we expected it to do, right? Let's press a key to continue. But what happens when we open it in Notepad? It's unreadable. It's a bunch of Unicode characters. Alright? So it doesn't matter what editor you open it with, like we can edit it with Notepad++, it's still garbled characters. Right? We can also, the only way to look at it, I don't know, let me try editing it with Vim. Let me see. Well, shoot, looks like Vim screws it over, but you know what, that's okay. You know what, most people only use Notepad, so it'll be a great deterrent for most people. Alright, so yeah, we're going to get to show you how to make these things today. Alright guys, so the first thing you're going to want to do is, as usual, open up Visual Studio. Doesn't matter what version you use, I'm using Visual Studio 2015, but 2013, 2010, and 2012 should work just fine. Alright. So what you want to do is create a new project. Let's see, go to Visual Basic and select Windows Form Application. Make sure your .NET framework is set on 4.0 or higher. I'm using 4 because that's all I need, and it's on most computers anyway. Alright, so let's name it YouTube Obfuscator Demo. Alright, just create that. Alright, now you're in here. All we're going to need is to place a text box. And then in the text box, hit this little right arrow over here. Go to multi-line and check that. expand this text box to the width of the window. Alright, so now we're going to need a couple more things. A button. Let's expand this. Call it obfuscate. We're going to need a group menu. Where's that? No, group box, sorry, not group menu. Then go down here and expand that. Let's call it alright. Now we're gonna need 3 radio buttons. Where are my radio buttons? Here you go. Alright. So let me just align these to the bottom so I can expand the source code. Oh shoot. You know what? Well, you know, okay. Well, yeah, we'll align it to the top then. Alright. You know, that's fine, that's fine. There we go. Let's expand this. Let's call this replace lowercase. Replace lowercase alpha chars with variables. We're gonna call this one insert junk variables in between characters. And then this one will be make the file unreadable in text editors. Okay. So first things first, we're going to need to do a little behind the scenes work before we can get to this. So double click on the form right here on the title bar. That should create a sub method called form1load. And in there, you're going to want to put, oh sorry, I forgot. Here, let's go back here. Go back here for a minute. And then in your toolbox, find a save file dialog. Stick that on there, anywhere on there. It'll go in here anyway. Alright. That's that. So in the save file dialog, set the filter to batch files, and then star.bat, and then that's just showing you that like it'll save it as a anything, like you can name it anything and save it as a .bat. Then a pipe, and then say star.bat, and then another pipe, say all files, and then star.star, then another pipe, and then star.star. Alright. Next thing you're going to want to do is give it a title, say save your obfuscated code. Yeah, that's it. Alright, so let's go back to our code over here, form1.vb. And what we're going to do, since most people like saving their files to the desktop, they don't want to like navigate through the save file dialog every time, is we're going to have the, when the first time the save file dialog pops up, we're going to have it set the directory to the desktop. So let's do that right now. Save file dialog 1.initial directory equals environment.get folder path environment.special folder.desktop. So what this does is it gets the path to the desktop and sets that as the initial directory in the save file dialog. Alright, we're good with that now. So scroll up to the, not scroll up, but place your cursor in the top. Press enter a couple times so you're outside of the sub, but you're inside the class. And what we're going to need to do right now is create a couple variables. So we're going to name dim obfuscated code as new string builder, and this is where our obfuscated code is going to be before we pump it out to a file. String builder. Alright, we're going to need it. It's going to show up highlighted red, so what you do is put your mouse over it and this context menu should pop up. Hit show potential fixes and then import systems.txt. And if that doesn't show up for you, you can always just type import system.txt up there by yourself. Alright, next thing is we're needing to do is dim alpha characters as string equals, and this is basically going to be the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X. Oh, well done. X, Y, Z. Whew, alright. One more thing. Dim random generator as new random. So we're going to need a random number generator so we can make our random strings for those random variables. Alright, next thing we're going to need to do Let's go down to end sub right here. You can enter a couple times. And then now we're going to make a function that generates a random string for us, so we don't have to keep writing that code over and over again. So we're going to have private function generate random string length as integer, so we can specify how long we want the random string to be as string, and it returns a string, the random string that is. So get some entropy in that random number generator. Dim I as integer. 1 second. Alright, so what happens is this this integer holds the loop, like it'll keep looping. Like it holds the number. The number that the random number generates. Alright, whatever, yeah. Dim temp as string. This is where our temporary random string is held before it's sent back to the previous code. Alright, for x as integer equals 0 to length. Basically what that's saying is like keep looping until like you reach length. So if you put like length as 5, like get random string 5, then it'll loop 5 times. Alright, hit enter on that. I equals I equals C int, convert to int. Excuse me. Alright. So what this does, oh shoot, extra parentheses. Alright. So what this does, it gets a random number between 1 and 26. And 1 through 26 is the length of the alphabet thing right here. Alright. So now what we're gonna do is like let's say C generates the number 3, right? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna have it get the character at the 3rd position in this string alpha chars. So that would be C. So how we're going to do that is temp and equals. So we add it onto what's currently in temp, mid. Get the from the string alpha chars, take it at the position 3 and length 1. So what happens is, like, let's say I is 3, right? And then we're going to take from the alpha char string at position 3 1 character. So that would be 1, 2, 3. We'd just take C, right? And then I'd put C into the temp. And then that keeps looping, 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 right, until it's done. And then we return temp. And that returns our random string. Alright? That's easy enough. Next thing we're going to need to do is implement a save file thing. That's what the save file dialog does for us. So let's do that. Alright, so hit enter a couple times. Then do private function save file as boolean. If save file dialog 1.show dialog, oops, equals dialog result dot OK, which means did they click the OK button or did they click the cancel button? Then let's write the obfuscated code. Oh no, I don't need binary writers. Well, now dot file dot write all text save file dialog 1 dot file name obfuscated code dot toString. So what this does right here is it writes all text. Alright, it writes all the text in your obfuscated code string to the file that you specified when the save file dialog popped up. Alright, I'm going to return true to show that the operation completed like well, and then else, like if they click cancel, then return false. So we know that they didn't accept our save file dialog. Alright, now let's get to the good stuff. We're going to want to go down here, go to obfuscate, and then in this button one click sub, you're going to want to type this, if radio button 1 dot checked equals true, then, and then blah blah blah, else if radio button 2 dot checked equals true, then, else if radio button 3 dot checked equals true, then, and then that's it. Alright. Oh, radio button. So what this does, radio button 1 is the first one, radio button 2 is the second one, radio button 3 is the third, oh, radio button 3 is the third one. Alright. ADO. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create our own sub-methods. Yeah, for obfuscating, because we don't want to have all our obfuscation code in this one button when click thing. That just looks terrible and messy. Alright, so obfuscate code 1. We're just gonna, you could call this anything, like I'm just gonna call it obfuscate code like 1, 2, and 3 for radio buttons 1, 2, and 3 respectively. Alright. Oops. Alright. So what we have here is, it's gonna be red because we haven't made our sub methods for them, so what you're gonna want to do is go down to the little thing up here, the light bulb, click generate method. Right, generate method again, generate another method. Alright, so here we have our methods. It auto-generated it for us, and now we can see that it's not highlighted red anymore because we do have a method named obfuscate method 1. Alright. Oh, okay, here it goes. First thing you're going to want to do in obfuscate, we're going to start with method 1 first. Alright. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to set text box 1 dot read only equals true, because we don't want the user to be screwing around with the text box text while we're doing stuff to it. Alright. Let's get our string builder, obfuscated code, and then let's clear it, because we don't want to have like any leftover code in there, because otherwise it'll keep rewriting like what it's already written. Like let's say you save a file and then you try a different obfuscation method and you try and save it again. Well, it'll write what it obfuscated the first time and then the second time, and we don't want that, so we're going to clear it. Alright? So now what we're going to need to do is prepend at echo off, because what happens is when we're, if you remember, let me show you. Shoot. Alright, well, here I got it. Alright, what happens if you, when you do this, let me save this just to show you. It's not that, overwrite that. Where'd it go? Oh shoot. Well, it's here somewhere. Oh, right, I moved it over here. Okay, so what happens, you see all this set thing? I have to make sure it's at echo off, so I'm going to prepend that to the code, so like when we're setting all the variables, it doesn't like spurt all that out in the console. Alright. So let's see. Obfuscated code dot append at echo off, and a new line, because we don't want everything on the same line, right? VB new line. Alright, dim alpha character definitions, 26 of them. It's an array as string. So what we're doing is we're making a string array called alpha char definitions that has 26 spaces in it, 1 for each letter of the alphabet, and that's how we're going to store our variable names for the obfuscator. Alright, so we're going to have dim loop counter as integer, and then for loop counter equals 0 to 25, so this is going to loop 26 times. Each time is for 1 letter in the alphabet. Then do alpha character definition, alpha char definitions at the position of the loop counter, so it's going to start at 0, and it's going to fill it with a random string. Alright, so now we have one thing. Now we need to actually put that obfuscated code into our text. Or sorry, we're going to need to put our alpha character definitions into the obfuscated code. So let's do that right now. Obfuscated code dot append set. So we're going to have like set, and then remember the random junk variable name. It's going to alpha char definitions 26. No, sorry, not 26. Loop counter at the position loop counter, because you know you want 0 for A, and equals, and get the, oh shoot, yeah, get whatever character it is. Let's do that. Alpha chars loop counter plus 1, because it's kind of finicky about that, and then 1. And then over here, oh shoot, I have an extra, yeah, I have an extra one of these, alright. And then, and I forget to add the new line, because we don't want this all on the same line. Alright. Alright, sorry about that. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to have the actual, like, replacing the lowercase characters with their obfuscated counterparts. So I've already done the code here, and I don't want to retype each 26 of them out. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in here and show you guys what it's doing. Okay, so as you can see, so what it does is for each character in text box 1, like we're going to have a loop for each character in text box 1, look at it, like get that character, and let's say, what is it, an A? And then replace that with the variable for A. If it's B, then we're going to replace it with the variable for B, if it's so on and so forth. And if it doesn't match any of them, then we're just going to put that random character in there, like let's say it was uppercase or it was a number. Like we're just going to leave it there and put it in the obfuscated code as it was. Alright? So the next thing we're going to do is give our user control back of the text box, textbox1.text, dot read only, oh shoot, equals false, oh my god, I'm sorry, and then save the file. So easy, we don't even have to write all that code every time. Alright? So that was our obfuscated code method 1. Then now what we're going to need to do is go to obfuscated method 2. And we're going to do kind of the same thing. Like we're going to need to make the text box read only equals true. Alright. Obfuscated code.clear. This one's a little bit easier though. Like it's not as much code. And then we're going to need to make a random string. Dim random variable name as string equals nothing. For loop counter equals 1 to length of text box 1.text. So for each character in the text box 1.text, okay, gotta hit enter. Random variable name equals generate random string. So basically what we're doing is we're getting a random variable, right? But we're not going to initialize it to anything. Like we're not going to say that random variable is equal to A. We're just not going to do that at all. And so at runtime it just disappears. That variable just disappears, and it's as if it wasn't there. Right, so now let's add that to the code. Obfuscated code dot append. Oops. And then add the random variable, and then add another percent sign, just so the command interpreter knows that it's a variable. And then let's get the character at the position in text box 1.text. Oh, sorry. Alright. Let's give our user control back of the text box again. Then save the file. Alright, easy peasy, right? Next thing we're going to need to do is obfuscate method 3. So I don't think I remembered to explain this during the introduction, but the way this thing works is it prepends a sequence of 4 bytes to your file. And what those 4 bytes does is, to the text editors think that it's, those sequence of bytes, like, declare that it's a Unicode file. So what happens is when you open it in a text editor, is the text editor thinks it's Unicode code, or not Unicode code, but Unicode text. And therefore it opens it with the Unicode character set, and that's why everything shows up in Chinese. Alright? So let's go to obfuscate method 3. Let's get control of our text box. Then clear the obfuscated code. No, I want my string builder. Dot clear. Alright, there we go. Dim Unicode header. We're gonna have to have a special save function for this because of the way it works. writing the bytes to the file. It just doesn't work as a random string. Alright, equals new byte. And then we're going to have a new byte array, and then we're going to declare that byte array at hff. This is how you declare hexadecimal constants in Visual Basic. Hexadecimal literals, sorry. It's kind of confusing, to be honest. Alright. Not new bytes. Oh my gosh. There we go. Dim obfuscated code byte array. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to convert the text in the obfuscated code to a byte array, because the way we have to work with this stuff is with a byte array, and we can't just work it as a string. As byte equals new byte, and then we're just going to leave it empty, because we're going to add stuff to it later. And then we're going to add stuff to it now. Obfuscated code byte array equals system.text.encoding.ascii.get bytes. So what this does is it gets the bytes for the from your text box. We're going to have a clear command, because what happens is when you run the Unicode header, it spits out an error even though it doesn't do anything, because it's a bunch of random characters, right? And then so we're just going to clear that from the screen so nobody sees it. And then add a new line. And then add a add your textbox1.text. Alright. Now we're going to make a new byte array, dim concatenated byte array. So this is the combination of these two byte arrays. As byte equals new byte, and then we're going to declare the length is the length of the header plus the length of this thing. Alright, so Unicode header dot length plus obfuscated bytecode array dot length. I believe that's it. Oh wait, I forgot this. Alright, thank you. So now we're going to copy the code from each of our, like, not the total array, from the sub arrays into the master array. Okay. Unicode header dot copy to. So we're going to copy the contents of Unicode header to the concatenated array at offset 0. Alright, and then we're going to do the same thing for the next one, obfuscated bytecode array dot copy to concatenated array, but we're not going to want to copy it at offset 0 because it'll overwrite our Unicode header. So we're going to have to start at the offset at the Unicode header dot length. Awesome, cool. And then give our user control text box again. Dot read only equals. I can't type. And then now we're going to need it. We can't just call save file, because save file only works for if we scroll back down. Where'd it go? Save file? Yeah, if it just writes text, like it won't write the byte thing. It'll just write it as its numerical equivalent. So this will, like, I tried this before, and what this does is it expands to 255, because that's what FF is in hexadecimal, or 256, one of those, I forgot, right? And that just doesn't work. Alright, so let's implement our own save function. If save file dialog1.show dialog equals dialog result.ok, meaning did they click the OK button, then we're gonna write all bytes. So there's the difference, because we used to be doing write all text, but now we're gonna do write all bytes to the path that was specified by the save file dialog. And then we're gonna write our byte array that we put everything in, the concatenated byte array. And then else return, meaning just exit the function. Alright, so if I am correct, I think that's it. Let's just try it out and make sure it works correctly. Okay, so let's try the replace lowercase alpha characters with variables. Save it as test.bat. Good old test.bat. Alright, come back here. Let's right click it, edit it. Oh, great. I screwed up somewhere. Alright, let's go back. But first, let's test the other ones, make sure they work. Alright, insert junk variables in between characters. Test.bat. This one should work. Yeah, this one works correctly. Make the file unreadable. Let's try it. Overwrite that. Still works. Alright, edit it. Yeah, well, that works. Alright, so let me just I'll get back to you on the this one right here. I'll fix it and then I'll show you it in the video. Okay guys, you know, I found out what was wrong, and in the loop counter right here I put loop from 0 to 2, so it'll only do characters A through C. So what we're going to need to do is change this to 0 to 25 because we need it to loop 26 times in order for it to count for each character A through Z. Alright, so let's just retry that. Go to form 1, type our test code, go test, pause, replace lowercase alpha characters with variables, test.bat. Where'd it go? Here it is. Let's run it. Awesome, it works correctly. So yeah guys, that's how you create a batch file obfuscator, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below because I'll make sure to answer them as soon as possible. The download link for the demonstration application, which I put a little more like polish into, will be available to download in the description, as well as the one that I showed you how to do in the video. The difference is that the one that I made beforehand, the one that I demonstrated in the introduction, the code's all commented, so if you ever have trouble like understanding what a line of code does, then you just look there and it'll show you. Alright, so that's it guys. See ya.